Всем привет, с вами снова я, Ним. И мы снова играем Slash. Продолжаем проходить
And so
сюжет.
Susanoo banished Jinmu from the village and exiled him to the mountains. Jinmu felt completely lost. The history of his clan, the atrocities committed by Amaterasu, Susanoo's just cause. Where was the truth in all of this? And where were the lies? Who was his daughter? What was the real reason for this conflict?
Так вот, в прошлый раз меня выгнали из деревни.
He remembered very well the story his grandmother had told him. In ancient times, Amaterasu had received the blessing of the mischievous goddess Kitsune in exchange for his blind devotion and unwavering submission. He then began to massacre all those who did not join her cult. That was the origin of this endless conflict. At least that's what Jinmu had been convinced of. Until yesterday.
В общем-то, в прошлой серии нас изгнали из собственной деревни. Собственная бабушка, как я понял по сюжету, которую нас же и обучила отстаивать свои права.
Now he wasn't sure of anything anymore. Did death, lifeless bodies, pain and cruelty really have a meaning? Deep in Jinmu's soul, a conviction was beginning to emerge. This war was fatal and it could be stopped. And while he was lost in his thoughts, Jinmu continued to advance toward the mountains. The grass became snow as the fresh air of the valley gradually gave way to the icy cold of the peaks. Without realizing it, Jinmu had arrived to the mountains. Legend had it that it was beyond these summits that the abode of the gods was located, and that before inhabiting the valleys, the first samurai had trodden this same snow. But today, it would have been surprising for anyone to inhabit such an inhospitable climate.
В смысле?
A snowstorm? Grandmother told me about it. Could she have already seen these mountains? The wind is blowing so hard, and I can't see a thing with this blizzard.
Так вот, в общем-то, теперь я расскажу. Получается, нас изгнали. Мы попытались понять вообще, в чем причина войны. Нас выгнали, сказали, не твое дело.
I can't go any further.
Вот. Ну и мы, в общем-то, отправились в горы. Зашли в какую-то метель и, видать, отключились. Потому что экран почернел. Где? Наверное, я потерял сознание. Ну да, в принципе, как я и предполагал.
Young Raven, the wind that blows in this place is too fierce for your wings. Retrace your steps.
Who are you? A god? A ghost? Please, help me.
И мы теперь вынуждены бегать по каким-то горам и просить помощи у голоса в своей голове. Кто? Кто тут такой? Мощный. Кто хочет? Ау, я все потратил. Оп. Минус 2. Оп. Минус я. Привет. Давай заново. Не, ну вот честно согласитесь, вот сколько я здесь вот провожу времени в этой игре, играю. Блин, ну визуал нравится. Графика прям. Не могу нарадоваться, честно. Выходи. Выходи, подлый трус. Я буду бить твое лицо. Ух ты ж, не дотянулся. Что? Как? Почему я не дотягиваюсь? Странно. Раньше дотягивался, сейчас нет. Очень странно. Так, ну что там? Где вы там? Выходите. Мне стыдно за это. Простите. Да. Оп. Давай. Давай. Выходи, ребят. Вот это вот я сразу. Вот этот вот тоже упал. Хорошо. Еще звук вытаскивания меча. И... Тихо. Оп. Это все? Надеюсь, что это все. Ничего мне тут больше. Мозги калашмать. Это еще не все. Кто еще? Давай. Выходи, любого натяну. Значит, тебя натяну первого. А чё ты не отходишь назад? Я нажимал вроде кнопку, а он все равно стоял. Я думал, что я сейчас закончу играть. Еще? Не слышу звука такого шин. Значит, там никого нет больше. Можно идти.
A temple? Here? How can anyone survive in these forbidden mountains? No matter. It's my last hope.
Оп. Такой прям переходик. Я оказываюсь внутри храма. Дедок сидит. Чистый изгой. Построил себе храм где-то, куда волки срать боятся ходить. И сидит здесь.
No one would have the strength to
я
survive the
думал, в
storm of
одиночестве, но он не в
Orochi without
одиночестве.
my protection. Young samurai, who are you, and what are you doing here?
My name is Jinmu. I wander aimlessly. I was banished from my village.
A ronin?
Because I disobeyed my chief's orders. Grandmother Susano preferred to send me away rather than tell me the truth.
Susano. So you are the grandson of Susano. In any case, you must leave. A boy of your kind would not last long in these mountains.
Голос у него такой прям хороший.
You don't
Мне
look very
нравится.
young. I doubt you're more resilient than I.
Insolent! I am Izanagi, the first samurai, and this is the temple dedicated to the god Orochi. I still have some resources left in me, and I will show you.
Дед, еще и с тобой драться. Капец, тут карта узкая.
Let that be a lesson.
With the exchange of blows, Jinmu's pendant came out of his clothes, which did not escape the old master's notice.
Your
Ожерелье?
necklace. What are you doing with the enchanted pearl of Amaterasu?
What? But it's my mother's necklace. What else has Susano been hiding from me?
That's a beautiful irony of fate. Who would have thought such a miracle could happen one day? This changes a lot of things.
Сейчас, секундочку.
Your story is, in a way, my story as well. Sit down, Jinmu. Long before you were born, I was the first human to meet the gods who came from their garden across the Bridge of Destiny. They taught me the art of the blade to protect mankind, and in turn, I passed on this knowledge to my peers so that they could continue this sacred mission. We took the name of Samurai. Under our watch, peace reigned, and the world was in harmony. You know them as mortal enemies, but at the time, Amaterasu and Susano were my two best disciples. There was a healthy rivalry between them, and they were close as only a brother and a sister can be. Time passed, and each started their own family. Susano adopted an abandoned child and raised him as her son. That was your father Oku. As for Amaterasu, I agreed to give him the hand of my heiress, with whom he then had a single daughter, Kushina. Life could have kept flowing quietly like this, but one day, my daughter fell gravely ill. Amaterasu prayed to the gods to save his wife, but in vain. He then turned to me, begging me to let him enter the garden of the gods to heal her with the divine water. But my loyalty to the gods came first, even before my daughter, and I refused his request. Amaterasu never forgave me, and thus his pain turned into hatred. This was when Kitsune, the fox goddess, chose to pour her venom into the ear of this suffering man. She promised him the survival of his beloved and the power to protect her. In return, Amaterasu had to commit to devoting himself exclusively to Kitsune and renouncing the other gods. Blinded by his pain and by the rage of feeling abandoned, my former disciple agreed to this pact. True to his word, he established the exclusive cult of Kitsune, and, ready to do anything to save his wife, he ruthlessly killed those who refused to follow his madness, and he even ended up seriously injuring me. Susanoo might have been able to reason with Amaterasu, but without warning anyone, she had already gone to fetch the sacred water for him. When she returned, she found the village in flames and bloodshed. Devastated by this bout of madness from the man she had always considered her brother, she swore not to let these crimes go unpunished. And in her quest for justice, she returned to...
Kushina. That's my mother's name. So that means Amaterasu's daughter is my mother.
Jinmu, you are a descendant of the Aki and Natsu clans.
But then, Amaterasu is my grandfather? And you're my... distant ancestor?
Great-grandfather. It is this family connection that has brought you here safely. Your magic necklace is a token of affection given by Amaterasu to his daughter, through which he passed on his protection to you in turn.
So Amaterasu doesn't know that my mother is dead, and thinks she's kidnapped?
Yes. Susanoo kept everything from him to protect your parents, and you, the product of their forbidden love.
Блин, почему-то я так и думал, когда вот это нам всю историю начали рассказывать, почему-то я и думал то, что типа жена, ну то есть моя мать данного персонажа, за которого мы играем, сбежала вместе с этим, и теперь все думают то, что ее взяли в плен, а на самом деле она сама убежала.
Even after all this time, she continues to hide the truth from him.
Maybe Tengu deliberately obfuscated her mind to perpetuate her feud with his rival.
Hatred, wars, it's all the gods' fault. Now that I know everything, I must be able to dissipate their confusion. I have the blood of both sides in me. I might be able to appease them.
Arrogant! You cannot stop the course of history alone, and certainly not against the will of the gods.
But you were their master. What if...
Do not count on my help. I can no longer leave these mountains. If you plan to go back, I will not stop you.
Ah. So I have to challenge the gods in order to stop this absurd war. But a human triumphing over the gods is unthinkable. Despite knowing the truth, I still feel like I'm at a dead end.
It is my duty to watch over my descendants. You can stay with me if you want. I will not intervene between my two disciples, but I can at least offer you a place here.
Thank you, Izanagi.
Так, ну, дед Изанаги, мой прадед, теперь меня еще и приютил. А это у нас кто? Старейшина клана. Утюхал. Вот ты еще и блокируешь. Ну смотри, он еще блокирует. А вот такого ты не ожидал. А не ожидал. Это так. Вот ты побазарили. Еще точно так же 2 раза подставишься, чтобы... Ну, мне было попроще, пожалуйста, спасибо. Не хочу я затягивать бой с каким-то обычным старейшином. Я тут уже с боссами должен сражаться. А ты мне все старейшин какого-то клана пихаешь. Старейшина мне напихал. Старейшина мне Сейчас я тебе в ответку напихаю. 2 из 3, давай. Почему так вот? Им надо 3 раза докоснуться, чтобы типа я выиграл, да? 3 удара сделать. А им по мне всего лишь 1.
Ah, you've beaten me again. You're probably the strongest samurai I ever faced, aside from Izanagi.
It's still not enough. I don't stand any chance against Susanoo and the god protecting her.
Only a fool would provoke Susanoo. She asked for the power of a god and received it.
Without a pact? How could she possibly seek the help of a god without consequences?
Those were different times. We once had a better relationship with the deities. If a god liked you, they would sometimes offer their help without asking for anything in return. And we didn't need to guard this bridge like we do today.
So it is possible for gods to offer help without a pact?
Yes, but that was before Kitsune and then Tengu broke this peace. Everything changed, unfortunately. The other gods were furious when the situation got out of hand. Fortunately, the snow of Orochi calmed them.
Maybe I have an idea. A way to defeat them. It's worth a try.
Он сейчас как придурок, да, пойдет типа заключать
The story
соглашение.
Izanagi told Jinmu had convinced him that he should stop the war himself. The two rivals, blinded by their hatred, would listen to none but their idols. But Jinmu would force them to return to reason. And if he had to fight them for it, then so it would be. Fortunately, he felt like the words of the samurai had opened a way for him. With a fresh impetus, Jinmu quickened his pace. If he could convince a higher being to help him,
Он просто сейчас побежит типа
that
просить
power
помощи у
might
богов.
be enough to end this madness. He just needed a push to rise to their level. The blessing of a god who would work for peace. Divine help, once again, for the very last time.
Так, ну на этом будем заканчивать. Честно скажу, на самом-то деле я уже прошел сюжетку 1 раз. Чисто по случайности получилось, потому что где-то примерно на этом моменте у меня произошел казус, и вся дальнейшая запись у меня пропала. И мне приходится переигрывать 2 раз. Я знаю, что будет немножечко дальше. Так, ну что ж, на этом моменте мы остановимся. У меня именно на этом моменте произошел небольшой казус. Я знаю, что будет дальше битва, еще одна битва с Изанаги. Что после нее я уже не знаю. Туда не прошел, у меня просто слетела запись, и поэтому мне пришлось перепроходить ее всю с самого начала. То есть пришлось сделать некоторую манипуляцию, чтобы пропало предыдущее сохранение, и начать все заново. И вот я уже как бы играю. Поэтому на этом моменте мы попрощаемся. Все остальное будет уже в следующей части. Всем спасибо за просмотр, ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на канал. Всем пока.